Hello, welcome to the Life on God's Term podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Reva. Today, it is just me and you. This is a solo episode, and I am going to be taking you through something that is really important because it is something I have been challenged with at many different times of my life. I'm going to share with you today how to get unstuck. So you are on this show today because you're stuck in something. And I'm telling you this because I've recently been stuck in something. It could be your career, your business, it could be parenthood, it could be your health, whatever it is. I want you to know we've all been there. I've certainly been there. And I'm going to share with you some strategies that help me get back on course every time. So it doesn't matter where you feel stuck. Here's what I want you to know for sure. You do not have to stay there. And there is not a time limit of you having to stay there. Oh, if I'm just stuck, but I'll just wait until this happens. You get to decide how long you stay there for. My goal for today is for you to get out a pen and paper, make a list, actually take action on behalf of what I'm about to share with you, because these are timeless strategies that have helped me at different times in my life when I have felt stuck. Because here's the thing, you're not alone. Everyone feels it. Everyone has those moments. And so it is really important that you just take that moment. You're here today, be aware of it, but you don't have to stay there. So number one, if you feel unstuck today, get back to your vision. Get back to your vision. People talk about goals all the time. Goals are great. I love goals. But what is your vision for your life, for your career, for your business, for your family? Get back to the vision God gave you. He is not playing with you. There were times in my life when I thought, God, why did you give me such a big vision for my life? Because it's hard and it seems so unattainable. I think it was Albert Einstein who said the imagination is just a preview of what God has for you. I'm telling you, without a vision, you perish. If you are just going every day, going about everything, going to things because people invited you, just showing up at work and just seeing how things go, living for Friday, that is not living, that is surviving. Do not fall into the trap that society has set up for you of you do your work, you pay for a house, you just get through. No, that life is not about getting through. It is about abundance. And if you're not living in that abundance, you need to stop and get back on track. And how do you do that? You get back to your vision. And in the Bible, it says, we perish without a vision, and you really do. So in my book, Grit, Grace, and Hustle, I talk about this, but you will, if you are stuck in any part of your life, get back to your vision. Maybe your family, maybe it's hard at home right now. What is your vision for your family? Is it having dinner together every night? Is it doing vacations? Is it just playing games together? Is it just being kinder to each other? I've started saying to my son, he's quite young, he's 5, but saying to him, Michael, you know that God has great things for you. He really does. And I'm saying the same thing to you. God has something amazing for you. He is not finished with you yet. So go back to the vision that he gave you. The other thing I wanted to mention here is Lot's in the Bible. There's a story of Lot's life and Lot's wife. And in the story that, where Lot and them were living, they were destroying it. God's angel comes and says, everyone leave, but do not look back. Do not look back and leave the city. Lot's wife looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. And that is a story that has always been in my brain because I really felt sorry for Lot's wife, because how many of us have just, of course you would look back. The place is burning. Why wouldn't you look back? But it was such a clear instruction from God, from his angel. Do not look back, head forward, get out of the city. Some of us can't even get back to our vision because all we're doing is looking back at what we left. You're looking back at what it was like before. You're looking back at what it was like maybe before COVID or before this thing happened. Look, I've had plenty of those moments in my life as well. You have to look forward because the God that created you always has more for you. So number one, get back to your vision. Number two, get a bigger vision. Some of the reasons that you can't get motivated to do anything, I'm so unmotivated. And I've been there too. And I eat motivation for breakfast. I love this stuff. But sometimes I'm like, I'm not motivated because your vision isn't bigger. Sometimes the vision that got you to take action 2 years ago, it's not going to get you to take a new action to get to the new chapter. So you need to have a bigger vision. And maybe that means if you're running a team, you need to make sure they fit into that vision. You need to make sure you're like, okay, this vision got me to this house or to this business or to this career or this financial goal. But you know what? Get a bigger one. I'm telling you, you cannot put a limit on what God can do for you. You can put a limit on yourself. You can limit your life and your goals and your bank account and your family by what you choose to do or not to do, but you cannot limit God. It is impossible. So get a bigger vision. You're like, I just want to get a house. Great. Is that it? Is that the biggest vision you can have? Or is that what society or the media is telling you that's all that's possible for you at this day and age, given the prices of this or where you're at or financially, what your bank account looks like? Do not look at what is around you. Look at what is in front of you. Look at the vision God gave for you and go bigger. I promise you, He loves it when His children go, I think we can do more here because He is a God of more. Number 3, after you get the vision, here's the thing. People have that. They go, oh, I've got my vision boards. It's so good. You need to learn to sell it. But first, you have to sell it to yourself. Do you believe this dream? Do you believe this vision? The people, the icons that people talk about and honor in society, you look at Steve Jobs, he was selling the vision of Apple of transformation while he was working out of a garage. He knew how to sell that. You look at Jesus. What did he do? How did he get disciples? He sold a vision of the kingdom. He was a great marketer. I love looking at how Jesus communicated because he knew marketing. That is where a lot of marketing principles come from, people, by the way. But you've got to learn how to sell your vision first to yourself so that you can see it and feel it. You have to sell the vision to the people that are around you so that they can feel part of it. It's not just you by yourself. You can't get that far by yourself. Trust me, I've tried, okay? After that, after you sell the dream, you have to repeat. This is the boring part. This is the hard part. This is where I get stuck, if I'm to be completely honest with you, because I like shiny new things. Success is all about repetition. I have never met someone who has the Linda Hamilton Terminator 2 arms that I'm so desperate to have one day. They repeat an action to get the result that they want. That is what success is. You want to be closer to your kids? How much time are you spending with them and how often? Not just on holidays. Do you want to have success in your job? What time are you showing up? Do you want to have success in your business? Are you reaching out to a certain number of people? Are you repeating that action? Are you just doing it? And I had a pattern of this. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a pattern of this is I would hit a goal in my business and then I would just kind of sit back for a while. I didn't repeat it, or I didn't repeat it often enough. So I would have these slumps. And that's, people say business is seasonal. It really depends on what you activate in it, what you're willing to do consistently. And that's everything in your life. That's business, that's life, that's your faith, that's your career, that's your body, that's your family. So you have to repeat it. You have to repeat it and repeat it to yourself and have that vision in front of you, not just every year when it's like, oh, time for new goals. No. That vision has to be so a part of you. Put it on your phone, put it on your desktop, put it next to your bed, in your bathroom, wherever you need to see, because the vision is everything. You can only go for what you see in front of you. You can only move towards that. And our brain will move towards what is familiar, always. So this is the amazing thing. God has given us a brain that is trained by us. It is determined by you. So I could say, you know what? I'm an amazing singer. I'm not, by the way. I've had a lot of evidence to prove that. But if I could convince myself that I am a singer, my brain would believe it. I am an amazing singer. My brain will believe anything I tell it. That's why cults are so interesting to me. That's why you can literally convince a child of anything, because if you repeat something long enough, the brain will believe it. So what if you were repeating to your brain every day, this is the vision I have. This is who we are. This is what we're going to be. It will start to move and activate towards that as a familiar thing. Stop going and continuing with what you're familiar to that's keeping you stuck. So what does that mean? The same people who don't have any goals, the same foods that make you feel really unwell, the same habits. Maybe it's Netflix. Maybe it's something as simple as that. If I'm doing too much of this and not enough of that, your brain will always move towards what's familiar. And one of the things I'm working on is actually just reading more books. It sounds really simple, but at night, before I go to bed, actually reading the books that I have beside my bedside table instead of ignoring them, reading a page or two. And that is making all the difference to me right now. It just means I'm having a better night. These are simple things. But for me, it's actually saying to my brain, no, we're going to do this now. But my brain was so familiar with doing other things at night that maybe didn't help me have a good night's sleep. So start training your brain with the things and the activities that you want to see more of in your life. Number 5, this is where it gets really fun, but interesting. You can do all of these things, but if you do not do this one thing, it won't matter. It won't make any difference. And 12 months from now, you will be sitting there going, why does my life look exactly the same? You have to believe it. You have to believe it's possible. Not only do you have to believe that this is possible, you have to believe that it's possible for you. Because God has a plan for you. He didn't put those dreams in there to tease you. I promise you He didn't. That thing that you loved doing as a kid, it wasn't just a thing that you needed to grow out of. I'm not saying that if you wanted to be a football player and, that wasn't possible for you. I mean, maybe it was, teaching children. Maybe it was motivating. I find it amazing the gifts that God gave me as a kid. I was told I talk too much. That was a common theme in report cards. Rachel talks too much. I was horrified. I thought I talked just enough, but apparently I talked too much. But that feedback was actually just an indicator of the type of career I would have down the road and have today. So number 5, you have to believe that it's possible for you. Now, how do you do that, Rachel? Some people go, how do I choose to believe? This is how. You can believe in yourself for 5 minutes. I know this because whenever I was into running or anything like that, I wanted to quit. I'd say, Rachel, just do it for 5 more minutes. You can do anything for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, if you believed that God had everything going for you, that it really was possible for you, what would you do in that moment? If you could just believe in yourself for 5 minutes, just think of what's possible. And then you do it for another 5 minutes. So you have to believe that it's possible. So the other things to go with that is, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm going to believe that it's absolutely possible for me to go to the next step in my career or to launch this business or to be featured on this podcast or whatever it is, to run that marathon. What's the next step? Number 1, I would go to a certain playlist. We actually have a playlist on the Life on Her Terms YouTube, which is a motivational playlist. I also sometimes go to the Rocky playlist. I put Rocky on YouTube and I listen to that because it helps me move my body and get in a place where I feel better about myself. And so I'm physically moving my body. You move your body. You decide for 5 minutes you're absolutely going to believe that everything you dream and desire is not just possible, but it's available for you, that God has that for you. And then number 6, you take action from that place. So you've got to get back to your vision. You've got to make it a bigger vision. You've got to sell that vision and that dream to yourself and then sell it to others. Why would I sell it to others, Rachel? Because you cannot do what God is calling you to do by yourself. Jesus couldn't do it by himself. He needed disciples to go out and be ambassadors for the message that he came for. You have to be able to sell it. And how did he sell it? It wasn't just come and do this. It was join me. There's peace here. There's life here. There's abundance here. There's a place for you here. It's not about you. It's not just about you. For me, my family is so tied up with this. It isn't just about me doing what God is calling me to do. My family is imperative in this because I need to have freedom so that they can have freedom. There's a legacy piece in there for me. It's not just about me and my goals. It's about what it means for them and the love that I have for them as well. You have to show up consistently and repeat that dream and that vision. If you just give a motivational speech once to your family or your staff or your team, and then you go and you just keep going as you have before, and there's no changing your action, your behaviors, they'll say, well, that was nice, but nothing much has changed. So this is the part where you have to show up and you take massive action. Now, some of you go, what does massive action look like? It's one thing, one step. Take the next step. Whatever the next step is, maybe it's reaching out to a potential client. Maybe it is starting that business, and starting that business could be registering for a business number. It could be starting a website. It could be posting your first message on Instagram or something like that. I know for me, getting visible was so challenging back in those early days, and sometimes it still is. But that first video, I still keep it on my YouTube channel because it reminds me that's where I started. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know how to look at the camera, but I did it because that was the first step for me. And there's a first step for you. Take the next step. That massive action, it could be something as simple or it could be something that big. Sometimes you think there's this huge gap between where you are and where you want to be. Sometimes it's not. But we give ourselves these things of, oh, I have to wait until I'm at a certain level of success before I can contact or reach out to that person. You don't, by the way. You could reach out to them today. Take action. Take one step. Reach out to one person. Post one thing that will align to the vision that you have. Our producer Ryan, just said something really cool before we started today. And he said, sometimes you just got to let go and let God. And that is so true. It's not all up to you. It's about surrendering. It's crazy for me to say this because apparently there's a type A-ness to me. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but I like doing things and I like an element of control. But this is the cool thing about God. I am not him. But when you let him take over, when you do all that you can do and go, God, this part is up to you, you cannot even begin to imagine what he can do with that. But you've got to take action. He honors action takers. That is what I know for sure. He has honored every imperfect, messy action I have taken. It's about planting seeds. It's about showing up. It's about being uncomfortable, but knowing that he has a plan for you. But it can only be activated once you take that action. I'm going to finish. I love this quote from Nelson Mandela. There is no passion to be found in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. You are capable of so much more than you're living out today. And I just want you to know this one truth, that God has got something awesome for you today. Not tomorrow, not for when something else happens, for where you're at today. So just believe it. Take action. And I hope this has motivated you. I hope this has helped you to actually do something today. I hope you actually do something with this information today and activate it and take that action. Let us know on Instagram at Life on Her Terms Media. If you are taking that action today, we'd love to hear from you. And that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining, and God bless.